There is a debate over who number one is. Is
Mhm.
it Slavkovsky or is it Wright?
Mhm.
Do you think the Montreal Canadiens have made their decision?
If they haven't, they're in trouble. If you have to go down to the wire on this, then you've got a lot of internal bickering and everybody's not sold. I got to think this, knowing the management people there, I'm very friendly with Jeff Gordon. I've known Ken Hughes for a long time. They're really prepared. I got to think they've already made their decision.
What do you think the decision is?
Don't want to speculate, but here's what I will tell you. I saw both teams play, or both players play a ton this year. Our goaltender in Ottawa, Levi Marilainen, he played in Kingston where Shane Wright played, so I watched them a lot. I was over in Europe and I saw Slavkovsky play a fair bit, and plus I watched him in the Olympics and the World Championships. Slavkovsky is a pure power winger who can make plays and demands the puck. Shane Wright is a better 200-foot player who you'll always be able to fit into your lineup. Don't know if he'll have the same offensive dynamic that Slavkovsky will have. He definitely will not have the same size as Slavkovsky. Slavkovsky's a huge man. So they're just different players. It depends on what the organizational fit is for Montreal.
If Wright had the kind of year this year that he had as a 16-year-old, relatively speaking, I don't think there'd be any question, would there?
No, there would be no question. You are 100% right.
The dilemma you face is that he had an off year in his draft year. Is that fair?
Yes. So trending matters a lot when you're evaluating players. Is he trending up? Is he trending down? Or is he staying the same? Is he flatlined? In this case, Slavkovsky is definitely trending up. And right now, I'd say Shane Wright is probably flatlining. But that doesn't mean he can't trend up again.
Pierre, there was a time, I think, when Logan Cooley was a potential number one pick overall. He'll obviously looks like, I mean, if you read the scouts and stuff, he'll still a top 6 kind of guy, but
he is. He's going in the top 5, I would say.
Is there a reason why at one time this guy was thought to perhaps be number 1 overall and now is not?
He's a dynamic offensive force, but I think Slavkovsky's size, I mean, Logan Cooley's 5'10", about 180, 175 pounds at this point. Slavkovsky 6'4", 229. I mean, it's just an apple and an orange, two different types of players. Cooley going to the University of Minnesota, though, I think is really good for him. It's an important thing. There's probably only one player, maybe two, from this draft that should be able to play in the NHL next year. Most of these other guys are going to have to get some serious work in. And going to the University of Minnesota right now with Bob Motzko as a coach, I think is a really good thing for Logan Cooley.
You said earlier that this is not a strong draft, but is it not a strong draft after the first 5, or is it not a strong draft even at the top?
No, I think it's pretty good at the top. I mean, Nemec, the defenseman, is extremely good. Cooley's good. Wright's going to be a solid 200-foot player. Slavkovsky's a good player. Cutter Gauthier is somebody we don't talk enough about. He's going to Boston College next year to play for Greg Brown. He's an outstanding talent. Juracek is a defenseman that injured his knee this year. He's a tremendous talent. I think he's going to be very good. I'm a big fan of Joakim Kemmel, who played over in Finland this year with Jyväskylä. He's a tremendous talent. There's a lot of guys that I think are going to be good. Bob, the thing is, this draft is going to take a lot of these guys' time. It's not a home run where a guy, we drafted him, he's going to play for us. It's just not that kind of a draft.
Well, that's why I wonder, Pierre, whether we should anticipate the possibility of a trade somewhere near the top of this draft.
Oh, I think you're wise to say that. I think this is going to be really fun to watch because of the potential for fireworks. Drafting is great, but I also think there's going to be some trading that goes on too with established players and draft picks. If Montreal ever was able to make a deal with New Jersey to get the 2nd overall pick, I mean, that just creates fireworks beyond belief, because then I do believe Slavkovsky and Wright will go 1-2 and Canadians start their rebuild really quickly in a real quick order.
Well, that's intriguing too, because, we've seen deals in the past where teams with consecutive selections deal with each other, understanding that the other team, the team with the higher draft position, is going to take a player that the other team wants even more than the team that takes them.
Yeah.
And so you throw in a little chippy and 2 becomes 1 and 1 becomes 2. But you need espionage in order to do that, don't you? You need to have a pretty good feel or know who the other team is looking at.
Brian Burke pulled it off as well or better than anybody in the history of the draft in 1999, when he was able to make a deal with Rick Dudley and the Florida Panthers to secure 2 and 3. And by doing that, he was able to get the Sedins, 2 guys that just got inducted in, or will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So Berkey, in what turned out to be arguably the worst draft in NHL history, Brian Burke got the Vancouver Canucks 2 players that made the Hall of Fame. So Berkey pulled it off fantastically well, Bob.
Are we in a position this year, in your opinion, to see something like that? Possibly?
No, I don't think so. Again, the one thing I'd say is it takes me back to 1969 with Sam Pollock and the Canadiens when he was able to get 1 and 2, and he took Ray Jean and Mark Tardif, and that really set his team up for a long time. It wasn't an easy thing, but he was able to pull it off.